Alright guys, welcome along to Hellmouth Hotline. I am your host, Rodney Stewart. We're getting into a series on the Conjuring. We're going to be doing these every Friday for the foreseeable future. And we're going to go through everything. Not in like the Conjuring universe, of course, covers Annabelle. I think the Nun as well is in there. And we're not going to go in the chronological order of things. That kind of the way these films are set out, it's kind of like, one film is set in one time, then something completely related to it will be set maybe 10 years prior to whatever happened in the prior movie. And we're not going to do that. We're going to go with the theatrical release schedule of these movies, and just on the way they came, and we'll work it out as we go. But for me, for some reason, The Conjuring didn't really jump out at me at the beginning. I don't know why. I just it didn't tickle my fancy whenever it first came out, and then Annabelle, I kind of didn't want to be bothered with that either, because I was kind of thinking, okay, this is going to be like a Chucky sort of a thing. But it is what it is. I've heard more people than enough over the years talking about The Conjuring and the entire series, saying that it's great. So I thought I would go back and give it a little run through here. So, based on a true story, apparently, a real life ghost hunters and exorcisms and whatnot, and probably that's what maybe kind of turned me off to it in the first place. But the film is actually pretty damn good. The plot of the movie is, spoilers, 1968. Demonologist Ed and Lorraine Warren investigate the Annabelle case, in which friends Debbie and Camilla have a possessed doll. They allowed the spirit who claimed it to be a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins. They allowed it to possess the doll, and the hauntings became increasingly disturbing. They felt sorry for this dead child, essentially, but it possessed the doll and started screwing with them. The Warrens explained that the doll was never possessed. It was only a conduit for a demonic spirit whose goal was to possess one of them. So we cut to 3 years later, 1971. Roger and Carolyn move into a farmhouse in Rhode Island with their 5 daughters and their dog. The dog, when it gets to the house, refuses to enter the house, and the family discovers a boarded up cellar in the house, and paranormal events occur within the first few nights. Every clock in the house stops at 3:07 a.m. Caroline awakens with new bruises each morning, and Sadie, the dog, is found dead in the yard. Caroline and Christine both encounter a spirit, and there's one of the daughters, Christine. Caroline contacts the Warrens, who conduct an initial investigation, during which Lorraine, clairvoyant, sees that a dark entity has latched onto the family, so that even leaving the house will not free them. This thing is just, it's like, I'm hanging on to you right now. Doesn't matter where the hell you go, I'm going to be there, sort of a thing. So, yeah. To gather evidence, they place cameras and bells around the house with the help of their assistant Drew and police officer Brad. The research reveals that the house once belonged to an accused witch and Satanist named Bathsheba Sherman, a relative of Marytown Este, who sacrificed her week-old baby to the devil and killed herself in 1863 at exactly 3:07 a.m. After cursing all who took her land. Since then, there's been reports of numerous murders and suicides throughout the years, and the houses that were built on the land. So it's just not this one house. It's like, this is like all over. So that's probably, and later movies that are probably maybe set prior to this one, we're probably going to see some more of that storyline. But for me, this is still brand new territory for me. Bathsheba completely possesses Carol, and coming up towards the end of the movie, there's a great effect there just before the possession where what's her face is standing out in the garden. Let me get her name again. Where are we? Lorraine Warren. She's standing in the garden, and there's clothes and the clothesline. This strong wind picks up, and a sheet flies off the clothesline, and for an instant lands on the shape of a figure in the garden before it flies up. Like the shape just disappears behind it and it flies up, and then you see your woman open the window before the possession. That was a flippin' damn cool effect. That's the sort of thing I love in kind of horror movies. Sometimes simpler is better. And just giving you enough to get your imagination to do the work for you. Just people say that's a lazy thing, but if you go back into filmmaking, some of the best horror movies is stuff where you don't actually see what the evil is. You're given enough information so that your mind starts to fill in the blanks right there, and chances are anything that the mind of the viewer is going to make up in their own heads is going to be scarier than anything that people can put onto film. So I love that sort of stuff. For me, the more you see, the more violent it is, the more graphic it is, the less scary it tends to get for me. So yeah, that psychological side of the whole thing, class. So Carolyn gets possessed, fully possessed, in the cellar. Lorraine sees the spirit of a woman who Bathsheba had possessed a long time ago and forced to kill her child. Realising she will force Caroline to do the same, the Warrens conclude that they have sufficient evidence to receive authorization from the Catholic Church to perform an exorcism. But Father Gordon explains that approval would have to come directly from the Vatican because the parent family had not been members of the church. The Warrens' daughter Judy is attacked by Bathsheba as a warning to the Warrens. The parent family takes refuge at a hotel. In that moment, the Annabelle doll makes a little bit of an appearance at that stage. The parent family then, towards the end of the movie, takes refuge at a motel. But Caroline, possessed, takes Christine and April back to the house and tries to kill them. Running out of time, Ed, Lorraine and Brad tie Caroline to a chair, and Ed attempts the exorcism himself. Caroline escapes and attempts to kill April. Lorraine is able to call to her by reminding her of a family memory, allowing Ed to complete the exorcism and condemn Bathsheba back to hell. That's it, pretty much, at the end of the movie. When returning home, Ed adds the haunted music box that floats about throughout the movie. He's got in his house, he's got this room, and it has an artifact from each case they had, and the Annabelle doll is in there. So that's the connection right there between the opening of the movie. He's in possession of the doll, keeping it locked up, and at the end of the movie he brings this little music box from the house to put into his collection. It's all cursed artifacts, and he's trying to keep the world safe by collecting these all up and locking them away, sort of thing. So we close out the movie, and there's a little message there about the evil is real, good is real, and the whole heaven and hell aspect, and it all depends on which one you kind of latch on to as where you're going to go, sort of thing. So for me, this podcast has been not a pain in the backside, but people have in the past said to me that I'm going directly to hell for watching horror movies and that sort of thing. But I'm like, you just like, you're a little bit short-sighted whenever you completely knock down a whole genre of cinema just because of religious beliefs and where you stand at and the whole thing. But whenever you sit down and you watch a movie like this, and at the end of the day, of everybody in the movie is good fighting against evil, and they're using the power of the Bible and Christianity against it and whatnot. And like, it's pro Christianity message at the end of this movie. It really is. And even go back in as far as the Exorcist. Like, you know, who's the main hero in that movie? That's the priest that's trying to take down the possession. So yeah, I have got a weird relationship with Christianity these days. Yeah, so that's another subject for another time. So very quickly, before we close out this episode, we'll just jump into what the reception with this movie got. The Conjuring grossed $137.4 million in North America and $182.1 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of $319.5 million against a $20 million budget. So it made its budget back in a big way. It's a money maker. Yeah, so there's a whole load of stuff here, but people talking about essentially the budget and the amount of money it made back. Yeah, outside North America, the film had a total gross of $180.6 million. In Australia, grossed $1.8 million on its debut weekend, placing third at the box office behind The Heat, and this is the end. Its total gross in Australia was $8.2 million. The United Kingdom, the film opened on August 6th alongside The Smurfs. It made $2.6 million, which would work out to $3.3 million in dollars against British pounds. And the opening weekend, grossing $16.2 million in total there. It had its biggest international gross in Mexico opening, where the film made $18.9 million overall. Class. So the critical response was fairly, from what I can see here, very positive. It is a decent movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it. If you're getting put off, like, I can't put my finger down to it, and like, for me, you know, probably the possession angle kind of turned me off a little bit on it. Some of them, for me, tend to be unsettling. Because as I said earlier in the episode, like, I have got a weird relationship with Christianity these days, but I was brought up on it. When I was a child, I was in church 2 times on a Sunday, and Sunday school, I did one in the morning, then I did another one in the afternoon, so like, brought up around it until I was a late teenager. Like, so, you know, it's a big part of my childhood. And for me, these days, it is the hypocrisy around it at the moment, where I love that as insane. It's just, you know, whenever you start to talk about Christianity and you're brought up around it, and you're read from the good book every week and learned bits and pieces and Sunday school, and then you see the way some of these, air quotes, Christians act throughout the week, the way that they deal with people around them, you're kind of like, you know, something's not adding up here. But because of that, and because of me having a fairly deep belief in it, I'm not going to lie, I would consider myself a Christian, but the hypocrisy gets me. But to get back to my original point here, it's because of that. The whole possession storyline is kind of something that unsettles me ever so slightly, because you think to yourself, yeah, this is accurate. But this movie here deals with it in a fairly, I wouldn't say tasteful way, but it's not something that's going to leave you unsettled from watching it. It's very low key compared to some of the other stuff out there, and definitely not on the same levels as The Exorcist. So the storyline itself and the fact that it's apparently based on a true story with the Warrens, it's worth checking out. And the fact that it's went on for so long now, like, I'm not even sure how many films is within the entire series here, but we'll be checking them out on Fridays in this podcast moving forward. Right, we're going to cut it off there. I've got a few other things to do here this morning before I actually get to go to work, and I'm only about 20 minutes left to get a couple more things done. Right, that's going to do it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, give it a little share along to somebody else you think may appreciate it. And until the next episode, stay safe. I will talk to you all then. This has been a production of Coins Age Media. Thank you so much for listening.